I don't mind funerals all that much. I mean, I never had any real reason to take religion all that seriously. To me, dying was just some huge inevitable thing that hits everyone eventually. So whatever may or may not happen next is pretty irrelevant. As far as I can tell, the end is always the same. My Nan passed away 4 days ago. The entire family is here. We're gathered at my aunt's house in Long Island. Several of my relatives have taken the train all the way out here from the city to come and bury her as a family. There have been a few arguments here and there. They haven't been anything serious enough to warrant concern yet. After a few glasses of White Zinfandel, though. My aunts will be tearing into each other like stray cats. According to her will, my Nan wanted a Catholic service. She even went so far as to pick her own priest to officiate the ceremony. He speaks fluent Dutch, and she prayed with him using the language of her home country whenever she got the chance, up until her last day on this earth. It's fine, really. Even though I never agree with Catholic dogma and mythology, this clearly isn't about me. And as much as it sucks for all of us now that she's gone, I think she would have been happy with the ceremony that we held for her. We loved her very much, and we miss her too. Everyone loved her, even me. Nan would come visit our place every summer, on occasions where she would go back to Holland to visit distant relatives. She'd always bring back a bag of really unique candies for me and my sister. If you think you don't like black licorice, I'd argue that you clearly never tasted the real thing. Actual licorice candies, the kind my Nan would bring back for us by the pound, are absolutely amazing. My relatives, the ones who flew over from Amsterdam to be here for this, didn't think to bring any with them. My sister and I are adults now. They say this hardly seems like the time or place to be gorging oneself on expensive sweets. It's kind of weird, really. Everyone else seems perfectly content to remember the good times and fond memories that she blessed us with when she was with us, except for the European members of our family. They're related to us by way of Nan's brother, all long deceased, and ever since they got here, they've been nothing but sour to everyone. Could just be jet lag, but I can't help but get the feeling that they wanted Nan's funeral done and over with as quickly as possible. Feeling spurred and more than a little annoyed, I wandered into Nan's, well, now former bedroom for a quiet moment to myself. It still smells a bit like dust and stale perfume, but it's still and quiet. I took a deep breath and thought about her warm, inviting smile, and how much I was going to miss it. Then I could hear the arguing start downstairs. Typical. Too uncomfortable to go back downstairs, I took a casual glance over some of Nan's things. She was really never into buying fancy or expensive things. She just collected little things here and there like souvenirs. She always said that her favorite items, in her own words, came from people that no longer needed them, which I had always assumed meant that people would just give her nice little tokens to remember them by. And as a kid, I sincerely believed it on account that she always seemed just so nice to everyone. The arguing grew more intense. I can almost feel it seeping up through the floor. That's when I saw the old Turkish Delight tin tucked behind her vanity mirror. Not exactly one of my favorite treats growing up, but I knew she didn't care for it all that much either. She complained that it was far too bland for her, and that it stuck to her dental work. The tin was light in my hands, so I gave it a slight jolt, and heard thick papers ruffling inside of it. There were old photographs of people inside, none of whom I recognized. Each one had something written in Dutch on it. Each picture was a different person, men and women, young and old, even babies. Each one utterly expressionless. Not a single spark of life could be seen in any of them. And then I noticed the stack of papers underneath the old photos. A carefully organized list of people's names and a series of dates ordering backwards in time, all the way back to the 1940s. My Nan's names were among them, as were the names of her brothers. But the dates of their deaths didn't seem right to me. I had always been told that they were just simply dead, with no explanation as to how or why. But according to these, they all died in their 20s and 30s. Beyond that, Nan never spoke a word of them to me, or anyone for that matter. Anytime I asked about it, the issue was promptly dismissed. I always had my suspicions that Nan may have left Europe during the Holocaust. I can't rightly say that I had blamed her either. I guess it eventually dawned on me that her brothers probably all died in some awful camp. No wonder she never wanted to talk about them. But as I kept combing over the papers, my concentration kept being shattered by the ruckus from downstairs. Thick Brooklyn draws and whines, rivaling the audible presence of my European extended family's distinct accents. I couldn't quite make out what exactly they were so upset about, but I managed to pick out a couple of Dutch words like verrader, which I didn't recognize, Shande, which means shame, but most notably, the word jud. When said aloud, it should sound pretty obvious what this word means. I had my suspicions that Nan may have been Jewish. The Catholic upbringing of my childhood always felt so artificial and insincere, yet oddly mandatory. Most of my family never really questioned why she insisted on raising them under a religion that even she didn't seem to understand all that well when they were young. But given Catholicism's historical record, questioning ideas wasn't exactly commonplace or encouraged. It would have explained almost everything, though. Almost. What shocked me most wasn't the eventual piecing together of my Nan's true ancestry, nor the sudden realization that of all the times she had outstretched her arms to hug me, I never once saw a tattoo on her forearm, but the last picture at the very bottom of the tin. It was a portrait photo of her at about 23 years old, with perfectly pinned up blonde curls and brilliant pale eyes, looking right past the camera. I couldn't believe that same gentle smile that used to warm my heart as a kid now made me almost sick to my stomach seeing it, with that damn uniform she was wearing.